and it could save you a couple $100, could save you a couple $1,000. Hey guys, Jeff Brower here. I'm walking through my yacht club here on Lake Erie, and I wanted to talk about buying and what date you should pick to close. It really depends on when you get into contract on the property. Standard escrow periods in Ohio are roughly 30 to 45 days, depending on if you're getting financing, if you're having an inspection done, if you're paying cash. So the standard escrow period is 30 to 45 days, sometimes as long as, sometimes as long as 60 days. But if you're buying a property and you're going to pick a date to close, I always recommend closing on the 2nd or the 3rd or the 4th of the month. Now, why do I say that? It's a little bit different if you're buying a rental property or if you're buying a personal property. But if you buy on the 2nd or 3rd of the month, you skip your next month's mortgage payment when you buy. A lot of people don't know, say you close on January 3rd, you don't pay a mortgage payment in February. You pay your mortgage payment in March, on March 1st. So you skip 1 month of mortgage payment. Now, if you think about this, if you close on the 2nd or 3rd or the 4th of the month, you essentially get 2 months until you have to make a payment. Now, I want to caveat this, you are paying interest on that, but you're not paying the principal. You're just gonna have 1 more month on the end of the mortgage. But if you are kind of tight on cash and you don't have a lot of money and you're kind of saving up money to put down in your down payment, and this might be most of the money that you have, it makes sense to close earlier in the month because then you get more time before you have to make your mortgage payment. This is even more so the case if you're buying a rental property that is tenanted. And this is the biggest piece of advice that I give to people when they're buying a rental property, is to close on the 2nd of the month or the 3rd of the month. Because if that property has a tenant in there, or if it's a duplex, triplex, or a fourplex, and you've got multiple tenants in there, well, if you close on the 2nd of the month, for example, the 1st of the month is usually when people have their rent come due. So if this is the case for that rental property, the seller has to collect that rent and then give you a proration of that rent on the closing statement. So if they collect the rent on the 1st, say it's $1,000, then you are getting that prorated amount at closing on the 2nd. So that's gonna be basically $980 or whatever it is, basically the entire month. So you get that as a credit at closing. You don't have to pay for 2 months. If that property has a tenant, then they still have to pay you the rent on that month, but you don't have to pay a mortgage payment for 2 months. So then you pocket that extra $1,000 for the next month, and then you don't pick up paying your mortgage payment until the next month from there. It's just one tip for you guys out there. If you have the option of moving that day forward or back a little bit in order to line up better, you're still paying the interest on those dates, on that range. But it can be more beneficial to you. And if you don't have a lot of money and you're just kind of scraping things together to get your down payment in the first place, then it makes sense to close on these days, because then you have a longer time between when you close and when your first mortgage payment is due. Someone's been working for years and years in order to save up this amount. Every little dollar matters to my clients. I make sure that they have all the information that they can have in order to make the best decision for their finances and keep the most amount of money in their pockets. I'm always making sure that my clients know this on the front end, because I don't want to assume what somebody knows or what somebody doesn't know. And that's just one more tip I wanted to share with you guys, because I don't see a lot of realtors explaining that. The only way that I kind of really picked up on that was I was buying rental property myself, and I realized that it made a lot more sense to me to close on the 2nd or 3rd. I bought a 4-unit property, and I was moving into one of the units. So the 3 other units were tenanted. The big kicker on this one was they were around $1,000 per unit. I got $3,000 on the next month in rent, but I had 0 mortgage payment. So that money went right into my pocket. And like I said, I don't want anyone out there to comment and say, oh, well, you're just, robbing Peter to pay Paul. If you don't have a lot of money and you're trying to put as much money or keep as much money in your pocket as possible, this makes sense, and it could save you a couple $100, could save you a couple $1,000. So think about that, ask your agent about it, and I'm sure they'll be able to expand upon that more. And if I can help you guys out with anything like that, any questions you have, feel free to shoot me a message. Be happy to chat with you. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.